Yeah. I,
Hi everyone, it's Mark again. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing, independent, mutually supportive community all around the world, 120,000 members across 8 LinkedIn groups and a growing number of full members, one of which is Lorwen, and Lorwen has joined me today. So this is the best bit of the job for me. This is where I get to introduce our full members. So Lorwen, thank you so much for being one of our full members and for joining me today for our interview. Would you like to introduce yourself and say hi?
I sure would. Thank you, Mark. And hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be part of the Arts and Culture Network. And I have been, I'm actually a clinical psychologist who has leaped into the arts. And I got a PhD from the University of Texas in Austin and a postdoc at Harvard University in Cambridge, Mass. And from that, from 2000 on, I have been an active painter, first in oil and more recently in the past 3 years in acrylic and more abstract these past 3 years. And I guess that's about it
That's
for right
great.
now.
Just remind us where you're based now.
And I currently live in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And Lorwen Studios, which is my studio that I'm in at the moment, and also that where I sell paintings from, is in Kittery, Maine. So Kittery, Maine is right across the river from Portsmouth, and it's on the Atlantic
Great.
Ocean.
Excellent. Now, what I'd like to do is to give people a glimpse of some of your recent work. So I'm going to share my screen. Where are we? There we go. So that some of those watching can have a look. Now, you and I have been discussing this before, and that you're
Right.
historically you've focused on landscapes and seascapes that are somewhat literal. But the recent work, which is beguiling me, I have to say, is the work that is abstract, and as we discussed, it gives the viewer an opportunity to build their experience of viewing the work entirely independently and from the ground up. So I'm a particular fan, and I think with a background in clinical psychology, I'm not remotely surprised you ended up doing abstract work.
That's
Uh,
true.
yeah. So just this is at lorwenpaintings.com if anyone would like to go and have a look. I know that you sell your work as well, Lorwen, but this is the one that leapt out for me because it's enormous, which I love.
Yeah.
And you've called it Hands of a Human. Tell us a little bit more about how the inspiration came around for this.
So this painting started
I'm just seeing if I can zoom in. There we go.
great. Right. So you might be able to see that I've actually taken, this is an acrylic piece, and I've taken my hand in the paint and placed it on the canvas. And and what and that happened in a process of a kind of a feverish flow process that was going on in painting this painting strictly from my mind and not with any kind of representational element in front of me or something that I was trying to imitate. So this was all generated, and it's also collage. So there's a lot of collage elements in it. And then in the process of putting the collages in and sort of making it a meta painting, which is paintings within paintings.
Mm.
So you can see where they seem to have frames on them. I then placed my hand in there and realized that through the AI, trending that's going on these days, this is made by a human.
Yeah, I love it. I
And
think what fascinates me about this is that from a distance, it's a reddish abstract painting. Okay. Everything is anything is possible. Okay. As you get closer, you realize that these frames are starting to become visible. So you've now got a further layer of understanding, but it's still abstract in that it's not literal in that respect. And then you then get a bit further and you see that some of those frames have got images in them that so it's an extra level of experience. And then you realize that actually, and then you've gone crazy with it, which is wonderful. You know, it's the product of somebody who's aware of those different levels of engagement for the viewer. So I love that. I love that. I know our guests will want to see other work as well. So this is great. I love this. That's and we should mention the gecko behind you. Now this is
Yes.
this is entirely me, and we just realized that
And can
Lorwen
they
has,
see it?
yeah, they can see it. Let me
Okay.
stop the screen share so that you can see behind. Yes, so this is beautiful, but and I suddenly saw a gecko in there and some white rabbits and some elephant legs and things, but which is what I love about that kind of work, because
Yeah.
you're given the opportunity as a viewer to interpret the work yourself, and it might not fully align with what was intended by the artist, if anything was intended. So
Right.
you're effectively opening the doors for someone's imagination, and it can't be done in any other way. So I think
Yeah.
it's great. I love it. Absolutely love it. So
That,
wherever this, sorry, go on.
well, I was just going to say, it also has a lot of reminiscing for me because I was a horseback rider uh, and grew up in Texas. And so I then took an old photo of my girlfriend and I when we were 11, horseback riding, blew them up, and then recut them out and stenciled them in. So that might be the bunnies that are running around.
It might well be. Yeah. No, I think it's great. And I think your identifying characteristic as an artist for me is that phrase, opening the door on your imagination. And I
Yes.
think, that would make I'm in brand and marketing, as you can tell. That would make a lovely strap line for you, opening the
And
doors of imagination.
I like that. And I would concur that that's actually the truth because even in my psychology, so the man that I taught painting with died at the end of 2021. And I came into my studio and began painting these giant paintings, just madly painting all these paintings and loving it. And then getting into publishing online. And that went into, I talked about art, I talked about psychology, but now I am doing my psychology services, but they're imagination. They're
Mm,
all about anxiety, relieving your anxiety and other kinds of stressors, but approaching it through the imagination, not
mm.
through traditional forms.
Yeah,
So
that's great work.
I
That's
like the byline that you came up with.
Yeah, there we go. The
Yeah.
invoice, the invoice is in the post. No, I'm joking.
Okay,
So feel
super.
free to use that. Okay, so this is all wonderful. Thank you very much for that introduction. There'll be a gallery on the page that this video sits in,
Okay.
links to your work as well. But to dig a bit deeper and find out a little bit more about Lorwen, the artist and clinical psychologist, I'm going to ask you 10 easy questions, if you don't mind, from which I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year.
Hmm,
Okay.
like that.
Now, it starts with a very simple question. I'd like you to think of your favorite building anywhere in the world.
Hmm,
And imagine you're sitting at a cafe within sight of that favorite building in the sunshine at 6 p.m. in June. It's a warm day and you're enjoying the view. What's the building?
Notre Dame.
Oh, excellent. Either now or before 2014, hopefully. Wasn't it 2014 when it had the fire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, that the facade there and that wonderful space they've left outside the front of it, just it's like a mirror.
Gives me chills.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're in Paris, right?
In Paris.
I'm going to just put a virtual background on my screen because I've noticed
Okay.
my camera is going in and out. So bear with me. There we
Sure.
go. That'll stop it moving around so quite so much. There we go. So there you are. You're in a Parisian street-side cafe looking at Notre Dame, and there is a book to your right. Now, this book could be a book that's been with you all your life that you frequently reread. It could be your favorite book. It could be the book that made you cry the most or laugh the most. It could be a book that you've recently discovered. What might that book be for Lorwen?
You know what hit me is there's a book by, it's called The Magician, and it's about Thomas Mann. And I can't remember the author's name, but
Let
that's
me
the
just
one
Google it. What's it called again?
it's called The Magician,
Right.
and it's about Thomas Mann. But it's an auto fiction, I guess, or
It's by Colm Tobin.
That's it. That's it.
There we
Yes.
go. Found it. So that's Colm, as in Colm,
Yeah.
which I think is Irish.
I think he is.
Yeah, Tobin. I think it's Tobin. It's got O's and I's with acute accents on it.
Yes. I did read this, and it had a it's funny. I mean, it's just okay, so you're magically bringing these things in.
There you are. So you're sitting there, Notre Dame, Colm's book on the right. There's a drink on the left. Okay. It's over six. It's after 6 p.m. Sunny. You can have the drink of your choice. What beverage would you choose?
I think it would be a margarita.
Love it. Love it. Excellent. Now you've just come out from a meeting in Notre Dame with a wealthy Parisian family who are patrons of the arts, and they like to invest in research trips. Okay. They've asked you, you're feeling very pleased with yourself because this sounds like the trip of a lifetime. Okay.
Yeah.
They've asked you if you'd like to spend a year studying the arts and culture landscape in a different country. So somewhere other than Paris, other than France, and other than the United States. All they ask you to do is to come back and give a half-an-hour presentation on what you found there that Paris might learn from. And you can choose the country and you can choose the city. It's a first-class all-the-way trip, a handsome fee. Everything at home is sorted out. All your personal admin is up to date. There's no reason why you shouldn't go. You can take family members or they can visit during the year if you wish. But it sounds like the opportunity of a lifetime. Where are you going?
Barcelona.
Oh, lovely. There we go.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Yes, Las Ramblas in Barcelona.
Yes, but I have not been there. I've never visited. I've been in Spain a number of times.
Yeah.
Never in Barcelona.
Barcelona's a treat. It really is. It's kind of I've been there when I was working in the pharmaceutical sector. I went to conferences there, and it's somewhat it's not a kind of Costa del Sol beachy environment. You kind of walk up to the sea and there's a wall and then there's the sea. You know, it's not there. They don't seem to have quite the same beach connotation, but it's a really fantastic city. That was the first place I ate charcoal. I had to take some clients to a dinner, and I found a Michelin star restaurant, and we had a tasting menu. It was 9 courses with a different glass of wine for every course. And they were only tiny, but they were tasters. But we had the most incredible experiences. The charcoal was presented in a kind of lipstick tube, and you'd nibble it. It was, yeah, it was incredible. That was a real taste sensation. It was horribly expensive, but
I can believe that.
Yeah, I think there were only 4 of us, and it was over €1,000, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my boss questioned the expense form that I submitted. But we got the work. We won the work.
That's good.
Anyway, I digress. So excellent. So there we are. Now you're in Barcelona.
Hmm.
No, you're not. You're on the plane from
Okay, I'm
home.
on the plane.
You're on the plane. It's first class all the way, so you've got a bed. Okay.
Oh,
And you have your
nice.
own personal steward, and anything you need is there. He hands you a note, and the note is from the wealthy Parisian family who are funding your research trip. One of the conditions of your year, and this is why they gave it you after you're on the plane, is they want to study the impact of musical restriction on you. So they've asked you to limit your musical listening for the whole year to one very specific genre of music.
Holy shit.
And you have to choose it to the exclusion of all else, other than the events I'm going to take you through in a minute. What specific type of music would you choose if you could only listen to that for a year?
Well, I'm kind of drawn to indie music, which is very, I don't know, it sort of moves in the direction of almost folk and um, evocative and
Yeah, nice. Are there any artists or bands who would typify
well,
that music?
one, I mean, you're just snapping up these instant things.
Yeah.
Beach House. Beach House is a current contemporary uh, group that kind of would speak to that.
Okay, I've not heard of them, so I'm going to have to listen to them tonight. Beach House. Right. Right, let me make a quick note. Beach House.
Who
Okay,
else?
that's enough. That's fine. Indie,
Okay,
Beach House and indie. That would be great. So
okay,
that's it for the year. You put your headphones on the plane. It's Beach House. And other bands like them. Uh,
okay.
so you arrive in Barcelona. You're met by some lovely Spanish colleagues who've been assigned to look after you for a few days,
Yeah.
holding your name up with a card. They pop you into a limousine and they're taking you to your apartment, which is overlooking the Gaudi Cathedral in the center of Barcelona.
Oh my God.
Um, and they've said, right, settle down, have a rest, unpack. We're going to take you to a dance show and then to dinner.
Hmm.
Now, tempting as it might be to choose flamenco in Barcelona,
Yeah, yeah.
you can choose what dance form you see on the stage. It's a magical theatre, and I can press a button and you can have any dancer, with us or not, any dance group or any dance style for a couple of hours with an interval.
Jeez. This has got me stumped. Um, um, Geez, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Would it
Ballet.
be ballet would be great. Yeah,
Yes.
I'll give you
I,
Rudolph Nureyev and Margot Fonteyn.
Margot Fontaine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So okay,
Oh, that sounds fabulous.
yeah, that would be fabulous. That's a that's a show to remember.
Hmm.
And so the show's finished, and your friends have said, "Come on, let's go to dinner." Um, Barcelona, as I found, has some very expensive restaurants. Um,
Which aren't
um,
cool.
uh, Michelin stars all over the place,
Yeah.
and any national cuisine you wish. So you
Wow.
don't have to go Spanish. You can choose any national cuisine, and it's up to you. What national cuisine would you choose for dinner after the dance show?
Hmm. I might choose Japanese.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Because I
That's
really,
a performance art in itself, isn't it?
it
That,
is a
yeah.
performance art.
Throwing throwing eggs up and catching them on a chopper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and doing all sorts of designs with eggs on hot plates and things like that they do. It's great. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, Japanese it is. Now, your your friends say goodnight and the limo takes you home, and you're looking at you're out on your balcony and you're looking down at the is it La Familia, La Garda Familia, I think it is,
Oh,
of the cathedral.
now that one
It's all
I'm,
lit up.
yeah.
So you're enjoying the view. Now the next day is sport day in Barcelona, and sport is a performance art, really. So we're
Yeah.
including that. Now you can either take part or you can just spectate, but you can choose to watch any sport you like live for an hour or so.
Oh,
What would you opt for?
any sport. Maybe polo.
Oh, that's a nice choice. Polo. That's a Trivial Pursuit answer, polo.
It is?
Yeah, it's played on the largest pitch of any sport.
Wow.
So, and it's always the same size pretty much.
Yeah.
But polo, yeah, is played on the largest pitch. So yeah, polo, all those rather attractive young Argentinian
Wouldn't they be
players.
gorgeous?
That's going to be, I reckon you'd come home and paint them.
Yeah.
There'll be some, and those wonderful
The-
polo ponies,
I
that
know,
can
it's
turn
so
on a sixpence.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Polo it is. Now,
Okay.
we're coming a bit closer to home for the next day.
Yeah.
I'd like you to imagine there is a magical, very advanced art gallery in the center of Barcelona, in
Mm.
which they can show you the complete works of any artist. And they do so through immersive projection screens, and they have a magical headset.
Oh,
And you put the headset on and you can step into a painting in a 360-degree, three-dimensional experience.
wow.
So we don't know what was behind the body in the Caravaggio, okay? But
Yeah.
the AI does, and it
It
creates,
does?
yes. So based on the style of the artist, this is I don't know whether this is possible yet, by the way. Somebody should be working on this.
Yeah.
So imagine you can step into the Last Supper. You can step into St. Mark's Square in a
Wow.
Canaletto. You can step into what is it? The John the Baptist Caravaggio. You can step
Yes.
into
Oh my
any painting,
God.
and the AI will make it into a three-dimensional 360. So the inspiration for this is a thing called Deep Canvas, which I think was Disney. When they made the Tarzan cartoon film,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted the camera to fly through the scene, not be static, which meant the computer needed to know what was the other side of that tree, so that it would put it in as the camera went round it. So it's the same kind of principle. So the AI has taken what it can see in 2 dimensions and decided what would be there if it was in 3. So you can step into that painting. So which artist's painting would you like to step into?
Boy, this is, well, I'm going to say Velasquez's Las Meninas.
Oh, nice. We should
Because
probably get
when
that
I
up so we
did
can show people.
that one, I actually saw in person at the Prado in Madrid. And when I turned the corner and walked into this, it was in a ante room, and it was 2 feet off the ground, and it sits at, I think it's 10.5 feet tall.
Yeah, I've got a picture of it here. I'm going to share the screen quickly so
It
everyone.
felt like I was stepping into his world
Right.
even then. So I can't imagine what it would be like.
Is that it?
Yes, that's it. And
Yes.
and that is cut off a bit on the 2 sides
Yeah.
because it's cantilevered so that it looks like you're coming into the room itself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, this is a great choice, because if the AI was allowed to play with this,
Yeah.
that's the picture in 2 dimensions, but the AI will decide what's on this painting on the front.
Yes. Yes.
It'll also put the detail in up here.
Plus, would it show because
Yeah,
the
because
king
this
and
is a mirror,
queen.
right? This is a mirror.
Yes.
This
And
is a
that's the
mirror
king and queen
who
in
are
the,
on here.
No, the king and queen are in the mirror on the back wall. So
Yes,
that
but is
means
that a reflection of the perhaps that's them walking in the room?
I believe they might be standing in front of the little princess, the
Yeah.
Infante.
How
Yeah,
how clever is that?
it is so clever.
Yeah,
It is most ingenious, and it was done in 1650 or
I
something
know.
like that.
The
It's just
imagination is
it's
incredible.
stunning.
That would
Yeah.
be that would be the perfect choice to step into a painting because you can see the answers for the questions that the
Yeah.
painting
And so then
suggests.
you would answer the questions that people can't answer
Yeah,
right now because you can't answer, is he in fact painting the little girl, or is he painting the mother and father, the king and queen,
who are reflected in the mirror standing in front
who
of
are
her.
reflected in the mirror, right?
And what's in
Or is
which
he
case,
painting himself because he's standing in front of
yeah,
some
what's on the painting?
mirror? I
Yeah,
think he's standing in front of a mirror because he's got himself in. How can he paint himself in the painting?
yeah, very clever.
Anyway, it's powerful.
It is powerful. That's a great choice, Lord. Okay, so that's the
Yes.
visual art day done. You've spent the day immersed in Velasquez, 3D experience, the whole thing. It's great. Now, to lighten the mood a bit, the next day is musical day.
Wow.
So we can go back to the theatre and you can watch any play or musical you wish. You can have the original cast if you want. So is there a particular play or musical that you would want to enjoy from the best seat in the house?
Um, a play. Now this is bizarre, but Waiting for Godot.
Okay, you can have
It's
that.
totally bizarre.
That's that. Yeah, there is a TV series, I think, in the UK inspired by that called Waiting for God, about
Waiting for who? For
God, waiting for
oh
God.
God, yeah.
Yeah, there was an old married couple and they
Because I think Waiting
spoofed.
for Godot is supposed to be waiting for God.
Yeah, I imagine. I don't know it well, but
Yeah.
I've heard of it
It's
certainly.
a
Yes,
Beckett. I think it's
yeah,
Beckett.
Samuel Beckett. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's your play.
I don't know why that shows up, but hey.
Brilliant. So next, we're nearly there in your first week, and then you get
First
to
week.
yeah, this is a hell of an introduction, and then
Yes.
um, so the next day is movie night. Now on this one, your Barcelona friends have suggested that they'll take you to a luxury cinema, you know, big seats, lots of space, nobody else there, drinks, food, anything you need. They're going to come with you and sit behind you, and they'd like you to choose a movie that you love, that you think they'll love, that they may not have seen.
Oh, well. Okay, so I was thinking of an old movie,
Yeah.
2001 Space Odyssey.
Wow.
Um,
I love that.
because when I first saw it, it was so powerful at the beginning. And so it would be kind of fun if these people had never seen it,
Yeah. That would be
to
good.
have this giant, the way it opens.
Mm.
So,
Excellent.
okay.
I did one of these calls yesterday, and somebody chose Silence of the Lambs.
Oh
Um,
my God.
yeah, she's a she's a horror artist.
Oh, wow.
She loves horror. It was a great meeting. And I had
Great.
reminded her Silence of the Lambs is one of only three movies that got the big five at the Oscars. All five.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, only three
But
movies have ever done it. It got Best Picture, Best Director, Best
it was,
Male Lead, Best Female Lead, and Best Screenplay.
now
Um,
you're making me want to see that movie again
yeah, yeah, you would,
because
wouldn't
yeah, you're putting that one in. I'm
you?
gonna put it down.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
It's so powerful then.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
to win all five is is
yes.
is only three movies. Let me tell you what the others are, so you know. Uh, where are we? Silence of the Lambs was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Oh,
1975, and It Happened One Night from 1934. They're the only three movies that won the big five, won all five
what was the
awards.
last one? It happened
It Happened One Night
one night.
from 1934. Yeah,
I
they're called the
wonder.
Big Five. Yeah. There's another measure, isn't there, of people who've won an Emmy, an
Yeah,
Oscar, a
yeah.
Tony. I can't remember what that's called, but
You
there
mean
are,
when they hit the big five and they,
yeah, in the awards. So they've won an Oscar,
yeah,
they've won an Emmy, they've
yeah,
won a Tony for theatre.
right.
I can't remember what the other
Yeah,
was.
these are fine artists.
Yeah.
Those are, yeah.
Hang on, let me find if I can find out
You
quickly.
know, I wonder if who was that?
EGOT. Ah, sorry, they're called EGOTs. Uh,
EGOTs.
EGOT, EGOT. That means
Yeah,
they've won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
I didn't know that.
And there are,
There are probably only a few
yeah, uh,
EGOTs.
uh, 19 people only.
Is Jack Nicholson in there?
I don't think he will have won a Grammy.
Right. You're right.
Richard Rodgers, Helen Hayes, Rita Moreno, John Gielgud, Audrey Hepburn, Marvin Hamlish, Jonathan Tunick, Mel Brooks, Mike
Mel
Nichols,
Brooks.
Whoopi Goldberg, Scott
Whoopi
Gooding,
Goldberg.
Robert Lopez, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice, John Legend, Alan Menken, Jennifer Hudson, Viola Davis, and Elton John. They're the
John.
yeah.
Right.
Anyway, we digress.
Yes, we digress. Let's not, let's get back to
Yeah,
the
let's get back to it.
fantasy island.
So that's your film day done. Now,
Okay.
I'm calling the next day Hero Day.
Okay.
We've booked another Michelin star restaurant in Barcelona for you for a couple of hours, and you can invite anybody to join you, and they will turn up. And they can be with us or not. They can be your hero, heroine, somebody you'd love to ask some questions of, a lost loved one, anyone you wish. We'll have come and have lunch with you.
Well, Tommy Heinsohn is a man that I was very close to, who died 2 years ago. So he was an MVP player, Boston Celtics.
Mm.
He was a famous basketball player, and he's a close friend of mine, coach and then broadcaster. So I like him. More people?
You can have some more because you're doing this so well. I'm going to give you 2 more chairs.
David Curtis, who I taught with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And who else? The Dalai Lama,
Wow.
14th Dalai Lama,
The 14th
who
Dalai Lama.
I worked with. Yeah.
Wow. There's a
Now
joke.
he's still alive.
Yes.
The other
Still.
two are dead.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Arguably, he'll be alive for a long time because what was somebody once told me a funny story about the Dalai Lama and the
what?
concept of well, the word's gone. When
You
it
mean
comes
the reincarnation?
reincarnation, yes. Somebody said, what were the first words of the Dalai Lama? And the answer is, as I was saying.
I love that.
Okay, so that's a great lunch. Now,
That was a great lunch.
that
Yeah.
was a great lunch. Now the next day is one of those rare days in human experience where from the moment you wake up to the moment you put your head back on the pillow, the entire day is yours. No family commitments, no jobs, no meetings, all your personal admin's up to date, so you don't have to feel guilty about doing anything
My
else.
God, this would be great.
You're in Barcelona. Your apartment is overlooking the cathedral, the Gaudi. You can have a helicopter, you can have a limo, you can have a guide. We'll close museums from the public if you wish, but you can have a boat. You can do anything for the day. What would you like to do?
There are a couple of things I'd like to do. Like one thing I want to do is you mentioned I don't know if it's called Cathedral Familia.
I think it's La Garda Familia.
I think that's right,
Yeah.
Legata Familia. And it's not even completed. I think it's supposed to be completed in 2026.
Oh, wow.
And so they're still working on it. But the apparently, this is what I've read, is that when you look at the ceiling, it's like an interstellar portal. And so you go in through the ceiling. And some astrophysicist wrote this article recently about it. He said it's powerful. And so I
Mm,
want to be sitting, I want to be able to lie down and be looking up at the ceiling in
okay.
La Gorda Familia. I would like to do that. I would also like to take a boat to Ibiza.
Mm-hmm.
It's the island that's near there. That's
Let's
in the
check.
Mediterranean.
Yes.
Ibiza.
Oh,
I'm getting it wrong.
let's have a look.
It's
Yeah, the Balearic Islands. So you've got Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, and
Ibiza.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
that will be fun.
I would like to do that. So I'd like to do two of those two things
You can
in
do
this
those.
in the I can do that.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can do that. And we'll close La Garda Familia so it's just you in there on your own.
And
So
so I can just lie there
just
and
lie
go
there
through
in,
interstellar space.
yes. And if you want, somebody can be playing the organ. Um,
Okay.
Excellent. So we're nearly there. Your year has finished, I'm
Boy,
afraid.
it's a
Um,
hefty one.
it's a great year, isn't it?
Yes.
Somebody said to me yesterday, this is like therapy, Mark. Thank you. Um,
Yes, it is. And also
um,
it's like talk about a positive visualization. You know, this is off the charts.
I know people have said, please start a travel agency so I can book this.
Yes.
So finally, you're on the way home on the plane, and you have
Okay.
the note from where were we? We were
Here
in
it
France,
is.
weren't we? No, Parisian family,
Oh,
um, and it says they're happy that you're heading home to give your account in half an hour chat of your experiences in Barcelona, and they've just let you know that the restriction of your musical listening has now been lifted. So you had been listening to indie, I think, and beach
beach house.
pretty much exclusively for a year. Now you're allowed to listen to anything else. What's the first piece of music you'd want to listen to
Ooh.
other than beach house and indie?
Um, maybe you two.
Oh, interesting.
Um, yeah, because they're sort of different than that and a
Yeah,
little more jazzy and not so much jazz, but
a little bit more rocky. Yeah,
rocky.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a rock and roll aspect.
That was that's what you're listening to as your plane comes back home. Uh,
Okay.
and you're reunited with family and friends, some of whom weren't able to get out and see you in Barcelona. You're speaking fluent Spanish, by the way.
Wow. You're right,
Um,
Mark. This is
and
amazing.
and you've been approached in your absence by some TV shows who'd like you to go and guest and tell them about your fantasy cultural year. You get a book offer, and
Wow.
somebody wants to turn it into a romantic comedy as well. There you
And
go.
listen, it would probably be a romantic comedy.
Well, we could have touched on that, but that might have been a bit sensitive. There's a wonderful book I must recommend to you if you like the idea of that crazy world trip. It's The Adventures of Goodnight and Loving.
Okay.
The Adventures of Goodnight and Loving. And I'll remind you, I don't think it's
And
on Audible. I wish it was.
it's sort of parallels what you just did with me.
Kind of in a very funny way.
Oh, that's funny. That's
I'll tell
great.
you briefly what it's about. Where's the review? Hang on.
You know, it's so interesting. I didn't know what to expect from you. And instead, what you do is you launch me into this fantasy island thing,
Yeah.
this beautiful, bold statement of, that's very empowering, Mark.
Right. So this is the gift to you, the Adventures of Goodnight and Loving,
Okay.
by Leslie Thomas. I'll read the synopsis briefly, and then we really ought to go back to work.
Okay.
When George Goodnight, a lawyer on the staff of a London newspaper, finds his marriage has gone sour, his family holiday is cancelled, and his car, broken down on the motorway, has been stolen, he walks through a gate in a fence on a summer's day in the middle of England. What he doesn't know, as he takes his first light steps across the sunlit meadows near the tiny village of Summerbourne, is that he is embarking on a course that will take him far away from the country, the surroundings, and the way of life he has always known. He is embarking on a journey that will eventually take him to the other side of the world.
Wow.
It's very funny.
I I will look I'll look into
I don't know if it's available on I'd like to listen to it rather than read it on that one. But
because it's probably more exciting on
well, it
Audible.
might be if the author has done it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing this. I hope you've
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Yeah.
This I will publish the interview to our YouTube channel, so you can
Okay.
embed it on your own website if you wish.
I
Uh,
would love to.
and then we'll put it on ours with a profile about you and a gallery of your work, and we'll
Okay.
then promote that to the 800,000 monthly users across our link
Fabulous.
groups. That's the plan. For the benefit of those who are watching, we'll wrap it up now. Lorwen, don't run away,
I
but
will.
thank you for watching, and do please track down Lorwen through the links in the profile below. Thanks again, Lorwen.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Okay, bye.